You're a me problem. Dearest.
I want to be somebody's mess. God damn it.
You are my mess, Patty. Alrighty. Dearest gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the ton. We are your effervescent host, your neighborhood friendly Kiwi, Tash from Middlewest, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her debutante era.
Settle down onto your favorite settee as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the ton. This Bridgerton podcast is two friends talking romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and deep diving into the connections of our favorite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers.
Before I do my part of the intro, do you know what that reminds me of?
Mine reminded me of Dory from Finding Nemo.
Doing the whale calls. No, I go older than that. Okay, straight up Gen X. Early Sesame Street. Near far. Grover doing near far. That's what it reminded me of.
I'm
near far.
Finding Nemo is one of my favorite movies, so I thought I'd do a Dory moment for our listeners. All right, Pepperell.
All right, Tangent Squad. We plan to finalize episode 4 today by talking all things Featherington at the Queen's Ball. We are finally finishing the first half and will take a few weeks intermittence to break before we do the hard yards of emotional growth and pollinating. So today we talk dropsy of the pancreas and the Featherington chicks violating all sorts of public decorum, caressing bellies, grabbing their chests, and saying the dreaded P word never spoken in public. Pregnant.
It's a whispered.
Except they don't whisper.
No, they don't whisper. I don't think Featheringtons know how to whisper.
I was just about to say that. I don't think Featheringtons know how to whisper.
No.
I don't think they have inside voices, just like me. I don't have this.
Oh, I definitely think that Portia's got voices inside her head. They're just not inside.
Maybe Prudence, too.
Yeah.
Prudence's face looks like she has voices inside of her head saying a bunch of things she wished she could say out loud.
Yeah. Whereas I think that Philippa's
and Penelope's face too.
I think that Philippa's mind is just like a little carousel of the little horses just going up and down, and she's like,
I imagine Philippa's brain is like a Teletubbies episode. Bluey.
Teletubbies is creepy DB.
Fun fact, years and years and years ago, when my now 25-year-old niece was inside her mommy's tummy, and when I would visit, my sister was like, it's her first pregnancy. So she's like watching A Baby Story and like all these things about being pregnant. But she also started watching children's shows because she wanted to pick and choose what she wanted her child to watch, because she didn't want her watching stupid stuff because there was so many stupid kid shows on right then, right? So she was going through the children's shows of the time and going, oh, my baby's gonna watch this, or oh, not watching that. And we spent an afternoon watching Teletubbies, and I laughed so hard I cried. It was a whole episode about bathing, and they were like, I'll never forget the song. I still can do it to this day. They're just like, wash, 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 Teletubby, wash, wash, wash. But they're doing their hand up and down the front of them, looking like a DJ scratching an album. Wash, 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 Teletubby, wash, wash.
They just give me the absolute creeps. Like, if they came to life and started going on a murder spree, I would not be surprised one little bit. Like,
yeah, my sister was like, my baby's gonna watch this, my baby's gonna watch this, and I was laughing so hard. I was like, no, your baby's gonna watch this, because babies watch this because of the colors and the movement. Yeah. They don't like. They've dumbed it down so much because they know nobody's watching it for the content.
Yes, but Any TV series that doesn't have actual language in it, no bueno for language acquisition. I mean, TV in general is not great for language
Right.
acquisition. It's been proven
They said
that,
wash, 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 but there was no water. There was no bathtub. There was nothing that even would tell you what they were doing if you'd have turned the sound off.
oh, I mean, it might, but it might not be what you think it is.
I know it's not taking a bath, that's for sure.
Speaking of
It's
taking a bath,
Teletubbies the remix.
speaking of taking baths, let's talk Queen Charlotte.
Hold on, we gotta make haste, Chicky Poo.
Oh, sorry. Now we must make haste to talking about bath. No, we must make haste into today's episode. Where we left off is we were discussing how Francesca had thwarted the Queen's plans yet again, and she had decided to go home and practice the music composition that John had put together for her, leaving Lord Samadani in the dust. Now, we had to wrap up quite quickly because I believe I had to go pick up Ezra from school, or something.
And I just want to say that I didn't get to do my funny because of that, and I'm going to do it right now because we got to see that Golda Rochevelle went to the Joey Tribbiani School of Acting and she engaged in smell the fart acting. The face on Queen Charlotte when she is mad that Francesca is not drinking the lemonade. That's straight up Joey Tribbiani was her mentor right there. Smell the fart acting.
Well, so
Brimsley, PU. Brimsley. That's all I'm saying.
The Queen is watching the entire scene transpire from above and questions what is happening. She thought everything was playing out just as she had orchestrated, but now everything is going awry from an unseen player. Now, what I wanted to bring up here is from a surface level, she's just annoyed because her game has been lost. But I sort of wonder whether it's she's sick of being thwarted by unseen forces, as in she thought that her marriage with her husband was going in a certain direction. She was finally happy. They finally figured their stuff out together. And then she loses him. And I wonder whether she is just sick of losing to unforeseen circumstance.
Well,
and it makes her petty.
I could see it generating that much of a response from her. Like she's very reactionary to that. For sure. I do think she is disappointed because she just came off of a big success in Queen Charlotte marrying off her son and getting the heir. So she thought that luck with her own family was going to play into her meddling in the ton, only it didn't. And I think she's still like, darn you, whistle down.
Yeah.
3 and Queen Charlotte 0. She's just struggling with it.
But when we think about it, her reactions that take place after this, episode 5, 6, 7, 8, are very much from a very bitter point of view. So they'd just been discussing about how there was going to be a bit of a truce between Lady Whistledown and the Queen, and then all of a sudden, even though it had absolutely nothing to do with Lady Whistledown, the Queen basically starts. I know it does.
With the Queen, it always goes back to Whistledown. That is why she is on the manhunt to find Whistledown.
But it doesn't feel like a manhunt now. It feels like a witch hunt.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a witch hunt because it's female, but she's on the manhunt. She put out a bounty on Whistledown's head because she didn't win again, and she believes that Francesca was influenced by Whistledown and she thinks that it's making her look bad and Whistledown look better because everybody listens, reads Whistledown and listens to Whistledown, and she is just furious over that. But it's all about Whistledown. She's not really, I don't think she actually cares who Francesca loves.
Not at all.
If she's going to be happy, this is a game to her, a game she wants to win.
Well, I think that the Queen is so used to winning. And at first she's enjoying playing the game, but she's not a Lady Danbury. She does not have the amount of stay power and willpower that Lady Danbury has to play the long game. She is very impertinent and is so used to getting her way exactly when she wants it. Even look at how she kind of deals with all the situations with George in Queen Charlotte. There's very little patience there. She does not have the patience of a saint. And so she's lost she's lost, she's lost. And it kind of reminds me of Lady Danbury's chess anecdote. If you play this way, you will win the game, but then the game will be over. And I feel like instead of playing the game, the queen takes the opponent's king and just knocks it over. Like she very much cheats her way to the win rather than actually earning it, because she is like, oh, well, it's all fun and games, and I like having a worthy opponent until it reminds me of a single child syndrome of the children who aren't used to losing the game, and they throw a tantrum, and then you don't want to play with them anymore because they're not
Well,
good
and if
losers.
we remember, and I just saw the scene from Queen Charlotte today because it was, when you go into Bridgerton, and I was looking up specific scenes for our YouTube video that we were going to record today. And when it pops up, when Bridgerton pops up, or, you're recommended to pop up, and it was a scene from Queen Charlotte where they were checking to see if she was with child, and like everybody's in the room, and you're seeing how Brimsley's turned away out of respect, but he's just reacting to how Augusta's talking to the physician, and how she's gonna barrel into Buckingham Palace and stay there and live with her, and like he just knows how that's gonna go over. And you're seeing Charlotte's face, like everything, the control for anything, the decision up until she realized her own power. Decisions were taken away from her at every turn. Her brother decided who she was going to marry up until George said, nope, it's still her decision. And Augusta was taking away decisions from her. Even in a way, Lady Danbury, when Lady Danbury turned down her brother, Danbury took her life into her own hands, but the queen being the queen and believing that this is her brother and her subject, that she should have a say in that, right? Like, how dare you not be with him?
Even their sex life was sort of like a controlled thing. Like they were just, granted, they were doing it for making an heir, but they both actively wanted to. But it wasn't until they decided no more even or odd days that's when they took their power back together.
Yeah. Well, and they even said but it's not an even day.
Yeah.
But it is. No, it is an even day. Like they're kind of pretending at first. Then they're like, why pretend? We are the king and queen. Like every day's an even day now. I decree it. Right.
Yes.
So
no more Mondays.
So I think that I think that she reacted to this very severely. It led to, what we see the next day. She pulled out that peacock dress and said, I want all eyes on Whistledown. And for sure. But she's also much like, we're going to say English military, how the officers would always watch everything from high aloft a hill so they could see all the action. She's watching from afar. She's not up close. She's not directly involved. I think that
even though they are all watching it together, the queen is so confused as to what happened that Brimsley tries to give her a play-by-play as if she wasn't just watching it. Like,
now, what cracks me up is that too, his play-by-play is basically just repeating the things she already said, right?
Yes.
She's not drinking the lemonade. She's not drinking the lemonade. Thanks, Brimsley.
You are not going crazy. You. No, she did not.
No, she actively did not touch that lemonade to lip.
I don't know why, but the lemonade line is never ever not going to be funny. And I think I'm going to use that from now on. Whenever someone breaks up, I'm going to be like, she didn't want that lemonade.
She's not drinking the lemonade.
She did not want and it's kind of it harkens back to the Brian Jonestown massacre. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, don't drink the Kool-Aid.
The lemonade's the crazy juice.
Yeah, because I always say if somebody is on the Delulu, I'll be like, oh,
drinking the Kool-Aid. But nowadays it's the lemonade.
Yeah. Oh, she's drinking lemonade.
She's definitely drinking lemonade.
She's picking up what you're putting down becomes, oh, dude, she's drinking the lemonade.
Yeah.
Do you think I have a chance? Do you think she's like me? Dude, she's drinking the lemonade.
She's thirsty for that lemonade.
Oh, she's.
Okay. Now that we have are we all good skipping along to the Danky Wankies?
I don't think they would like to be called the Danky Wankies. But yes, it's time to move on.
I feel like
Dankworth Finch.
I feel like Mr. Dankworth would totally be into my nickname. He'd be like,
Danky
"That's so
wanky.
cute." He'd be like, well, I was gonna say he'd be like, "Nice alliteration," but I don't think he knows that word.
Probably not.
No.
I don't know. I think he's very self-absorbed. That doesn't mean he's
He's a
Hmm.
little dense.
Oh, he's yeah, I'll give you dense. I'll give you.
A little dense. Okay, so the scene cuts over to the Dankies, who are discussing the fact that Prudence is not pregnant yet. Danky is saying that maybe it is for the best as babies drain one's beauty. Those states that they have plenty to spare. Thank you so much, Mr. Dankware. As if I wasn't feeling tired enough as a mum already without that little jab to my self-esteem. And that is the
It
difference
makes me
between
think.
Dankworth and Finch. Finchie would see his pregnant wife as being even more beautiful. He would see
He
his wife
did.
as a
She's
mother.
like a little chocolate box.
Yeah, yes. Life is like a box of chocolates, and he is happy to eat all of those chocolates up, no matter what they look like. But that is the
Well,
difference
if they were
between.
my box of chocolates, they would look pretty bad because I have to smush them all. If there's no map, I have to smush them to know what's inside
Yeah.
before I eat them.
Yeah, but like that is the difference between Danky and Finchie is Finchie is there to love his wife in every era of her existence, whereas Danky is a little bit more self-absorbed and a little more interested in outward appearances and looking at appearing the best. And he sort of reminds me a little bit more of I mean, he doesn't just that self-serving kind of nature of what is the guy from Sense and Sense Willoughby. Just that kind of self-serving nature of Willoughby.
But I think it's in a much more generous way than
Yes,
Willoughby, and I think
yes.
it works for Prudence because yes, he is a little self-absorbed and he wants all eyes on him. He wants attention, much like Prudence. They're very
Hmm.
similar in that way. But he is so adoring of Prudence and believes her to be
He
so
does.
beautiful and so statuesque and
But
everything that
but so did Willoughby. He
he
just
believes he wanted Willoughby wanted money. He was completely
yes.
self-serving. He never viewed Marianne as being somebody that elevated him in society, nor did he even
No.
view Mrs. King that way. He was just it was a means to an end.
Yeah.
But Dankworth views Prudence as elevating his stock value.
Yeah.
So
Because he sees her so
he
highly.
he can talk about his own beauty, but he sees his beauty like cubed or squared, definitely at least squared, but cubed with Prudence on his arm. Like she just elevates him in society and all eyes are on them because they're two beautiful creatures in his mind, right?
Yes.
And that feeds into her wanting attention all the time. So it actually has helped her.
Actually, did you
I
see the
mean,
photo of Imelda Staunton, Bessie, and the dad, Imelda's husband?
I'm struggling with his name. He's Carson on Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
What's her last name? And then maybe I'll get it. What's
Staunton.
Bessie's
Oh,
Carter? So
Carter.
he's the Carter. His last name is Carter.
Jim
What's
Carter.
his first? Jim
Jim
Carter.
Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a picture of the three of them on the red carpet together, and I'm like, wow, you are very much your mother. And I can't believe that in watching season 1 and 2, that until you told me, because I always just had this like irk about her, even
You would never think Imelda Staunton though, because she got her dad's height.
yes, that's true. But there was always just like from the very first second that we
and
saw
and his nose. Let's be real. And
yes,
his
but the very first second that I saw her, there was something about her that just irked me a little bit. And of course, it's because she is the
she's
daughter.
the spawn of Umbridge, is what she is.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, but Umbridge is the most deplorable villain that has ever existed in a children's book.
Ever.
We
She's
just hold like a
horrible.
really deep hate. Like, I don't even hate Bellatrix or Voldemort because, like, they're at least
Okay.
crazy.
So, like in Wicked, how we find out there's shiz, right?
I've
There's
never seen it.
like,
Still never seen it. Don't know
but
anything about it.
there's this college that all of these. It's Hogwarts College, basically, is what
Okay.
shiz is. It's like magic people who want to do magic.
Yeah.
Go to and we have the opposites end up being roommates. But if you think of people that would want to be roommates, and let's imagine this is literary college. So this is literary character college. The two people that I think would be roommate is Umbridge and from Wicked, Madame Morrible. We'll throw her in there. But also Trunchbull from Matilda.
Oh,
Like,
a
seriously,
thousand
if you put the
percent. A thousand
you
percent.
put the three of them would be roommates in a room so bad. They're horrible people, horrible. And like, and seriously, Tangent Squad, anybody out there, throw in our Facebook group who you think would go to literary villain college, who would be in that college, and add to our, because those are some of the worst. Trunchbull, oh my goodness,
I'm
she's
not
so
sh-
terrible.
I'm not
Umbridge,
sure.
I threw the book. I threw it like Kiara Lewis on TikTok. I threw that book when I read Umbridge.
I'm not sure if I ever told you, but as a kid, people used to refer to me as Matilda because I was a little girl with the same haircut, with the same
You probably
bangs,
look like her. I can
who
see it.
liked to wear red bows and loved to read. And my brother used to tell me that I was adopted. So my little young self would, I mean, difference being, I love my parents. Very so big difference, but yeah. So I was little Matilda when I was little. All right.
Yeah,
So
Matilda's parents were pretty bad.
they were. They definitely were. But it's funny because I can never not see Danny DeVito as
Well,
as
and
such a little
like,
sweetie.
and while we're talking about it, you know, this whole scene where he's talking about kids drain their beauty, it's because they're watching Finch caress Philippa's belly
Hmm.
in public.
I know. But we will get
Like,
I want to talk about Prudence a little bit here because Prudence then questions whether he is suggesting that they give up. And the thing that's unsaid is she's not asking if he wants to give up falling pregnant, but specifically about raising the heir, like being the mama to the heir. Because
being in charge.
the goal has never ever been to be a mum. The goal has been to be the mama to the heir. She does not, I don't think that she has a maternal bone in her body. And I think it's something that she does learn alongside her sisters, but I do not think that it is something that comes naturally to her because she has never had it emulated in her entire life.
I don't think that she is maternal one bit. She's
I
very
think
much like her mother,
I think if it
but
was 2025, she would not have a
think
child.
I don't necessarily think her goal is extended as far as having being the mother of the heir so much as it is winning, because
Yes. Well, that's what
their
I'm saying.
mother
The goal is to win.
their mother has pitted them against each other so much in competition over the years. Prudence's goal is to always win so she can be her
Yes.
mother's favorite.
Well, and that's what I
I
wrote.
think this line tells us more that she loves being her mother's favorite than anything else.
And that's what I wrote. I said, I don't think she gives two craps about actually being a mum. It's about winning.
Mm-hmm.
So she then states that he is giving her a pain in the chest whilst squishing her boobs together and complaining that they have been tender all week, which is catches the attention of Philippa, who immediately pulls Vinci over to talk to her sister. Like, let's talk about that faux pas for a moment here. Are you kidding me? In 2025, that would be inappropriate.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. These two sisters, well, and really caressing the belly is kind of Finchy joining in with the inappropriateness, but rubbing a woman's belly in public, you do not draw attention to the fact that she is with child.
No.
But I mean, and I think people have always taken Prudence with a grain of salt. If we think about season 2 and her mocking the mime statue person
Yes.
and drawing attention to herself that way, I think people just go, oh, that's Prudence Featherington over there
Being
trying to get
garish
everyone's
again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, being gaudy and garish, and just adding to the ineligibility of herself,
Hmm.
embarrassing the family.
Well, it's because they
She's
are
like Mary. She's like Mary in Pride and Prejudice, trying to play the piano when she's not that great at it at a party.
yes.
That's not at her house.
Like, I mean, they are very, very, very much the sisters from the original Cinderella story. Like the way, and even the movie A Cinderella Story, the way that the sisters are constantly just making a fool of themselves, trying.
I thought you were going to go down the road of how being just like the sisters from Cinderella, where Anastasia and Drusilla do their music lessons and they're playing flute and whatever, and they're terrible. and and Prudence and
That too.
Philippa do that little concert, and Prudence likes to sing, and she's terrible.
And her dad's like, please just stop. No one wants to listen to this anymore. Yeah, but I do, it was incredibly inappropriate to, yeah, draw attention. The literal only reason that you were
Even Dankworth was looking around like, is
he
anybody watching
was.
this?
Yes. Like he was uncomfortable about it because one, it's a woman grabbing themselves in public, and two, that's his sister's wife. Like he is very much a stan of his wife, and he does not want anyone drawing attention to their milk makers, essentially. But the whole point.
No, that I said Dankworth, right? Because
Oh,
that's his wife.
sorry. Even the Finches were looking around like before that point, and they were like, "What the hell is she doing?" You know. And yes, Danky
And
was
Philippa's
also
like, it's not weird for her to do that in public. She's making fun of me.
yes, but the whole reason that you were still allowed to attend balls in your first trimester was because one, it was early enough on that you may lose it, so you don't acknowledge it until the second trimester and onwards. And
You're
two,
not showing.
you're not showing, so you can hide it. And three, there was a third point. I just forgot it.
You're not supposed to talk about it, so
Yes.
it's nobody's. Yeah, you
It
just
is
go along as
Voldemort.
business as usual.
It is Voldemort. You don't acknowledge it until it physically has to be acknowledged.
And honestly, with the lack of knowledge of women's health at the time, that is why having an 8-month baby is believable, because nobody truly knew the gestation period unless
Yes.
they had lived with
Yes.
multiple pregnant women to kind of gauge, what
I'd
that
say
time frame.
6 to 9 months were all plausible.
Yeah, it could be plausible because you were only missing for about 6 months before you had the baby, because you still came out into society until you started showing in the court that could not cover it. You could not go to the modiste and have it hidden anymore. That's when you had to stay home, and that's why it was called the confinement.
Yes, and so Kate being in this season as well, being notably pregnant, is absolutely fantasy, because that would have never taken place. And especially not for like them to be acknowledging her pregnancy as well. So this is the point where I had a realization, and I've sent this to Patty, and she's like, yeah, maybe. So I'm going to hopefully remember on Sunday to drop the 2 photos. So this is the moment where I realized who Philippa reminds me of. She is so much like the character Ty that Brittany Murphy plays in Clueless. They both look and sound incredibly alike and are both as ditzy as they come. Not stupid, ditzy.
Ditzy, yes. And I said I'm pretty sure her Hollywood character, though, was Rita Hayworth. I sent you that picture. Like, her look was definitely drawn from Rita Hayworth.
It's just that her personality just reminds me so much of Ty. And like,
and I think it plays because if you really watch her trajectory this season, as Penelope is elevated and comes into her own and gains more confidence and gets the guy and all this stuff, and Philippa starts realizing, like, she's never been down on Penelope the same way Prudence has, and she starts looking up to her sister, and at the end she like wants her daughter to be a writer like her sister. You see her looking at the books in the wedding scene. Like, I think that she has her kind of Clueless moment where she goes through her own makeover, being able to be proud of who she is and who their family is and who her siblings are.
Yeah, I'm writing myself a reminder to make a TikTok video for both the Cinderella photos. So, the one where the 2 girls are coming down the hallway and they're dressed like Drusilla and
the scene where they're
Anastasia.
playing musical instruments. Put that up against the scene where Prudence is singing. And
okay, playing instrument.
Oh, and P.S. Scott said, LOL, I would be interested in how she explained it.
Look, Scott, don't be sassing me here, sir. I'm just a millennial, okay? Patty has been endlessly mocking me because before we started this episode, I was trying to explain. And so every Australian, help me out here. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Every Australian out there grew up with the Yellow Pages ad, "Not happy, Jan," which just became a cultural phenomenon that if you're like grumpy at someone but not really grumpy, you'll be like, "Not happy, Jan." And so I was trying to explain that, and Patty's like, "Tash, we have the Yellow Pages. Like, I know what they are." And so here I am sitting being like, "Oh, we have the Yellow Pages, and it's a directory
I was cackling because I'm Gen X, okay? I'm older than you. I know what yellow
I
pages
have more
are.
gray hairs than you, therefore more wisdom, woman.
Wow.
I just didn't know if America referred to it as yellow pages and white pages as well. So I was explaining what it was so that she could figure out the American version of it, not knowing that
I
it was universal.
I said she was millennial splaining a Gen X.
It was
But in the opposite
unintentional.
way.
It was
In the
unintentional. Okay. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl trying to explain her Aussie 90s TV advertisements that affected her heart and soul, changed her for the better. But that
all
and
those
the
little things that play into our senses of humor.
I that and the drop bears are my two favorite ads. Every Australian knows what I'm talking about.
Like I said, Smaug and I love the Puttermans. We every time they come out with a new one, we're like, "There's a new Puttermans
Right.
commercial. Have you
You
seen
send
it
me
yet?"
your favorite and I'll send you the drop bears as well.
Okay, I'll have to find it. It's
And
probably on
then
YouTube,
and
I'm
then we'll
sure.
have to add them into our Facebook page so that people can understand what we are talking about. Write more notes. Drop bear ad. Okay. Do 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 do. Philippa asks if her sister is mocking her as her chest has been sore non-stop, and that is not dropsy of the pancreas. For those curious little cats like me, I looked up what the term actually meant. And oh, gotta scroll over my notes. Dropsy of the pancreas is an outdated term that refers to swelling or fluid buildup in the pancreas, commonly known as an edema or pancreatic ascites. This can be caused by various conditions.
Pancreatitis, probably.
No. Ascites,
Really?
Ascites. This can be caused by various conditions, including pancreatitis, pancreatic cancer, and other diseases that affect fluid balance. AKA, no, you do not have fluid buildup in your boobs because of pancreatitis. You are pregnant. And so that's what that essentially meant. Was not fluid
And she says it
retention.
with her head moving too, like
It was a
dropsy of the
sass.
pancreas.
It was not dropsy of the pancreas. Like next part time I see someone's boobs looking a bit bigger. Is that dropsy of the pancreas?
Or they're like moving them around because they're achy. You better be careful. That could be dropsy of the pancreas.
Oh my God. If I ever have another baby, I'm just going to have a t-shirt made up, not dropsy of the pancreas, and just post a photo like that and see who gets it.
No, your pregnancy announcement, like social media, needs to just be like, Bridgerton fans, it's not dropsy of the pancreas.
Yep. But I'll post a shirt of me looking extremely bloated. I love this line from her. Like, she comes up with some of the most iconic one-liners, to be honest.
Well, to be fair, the scripting already had it. We don't know if it was, I mean, it was in the scripting, I'm sure, but
it's always her delivery. It's always her delivery.
Yes. Harriet Keynes, we stand your comedic timing, and your delivery is impeccable.
Puts it where?
Yeah.
Dropsy of the pancreas.
And now volley the bugs.
Yeah.
All of them. Fabulous.
I want, what is her name? The mum from Schitt's Creek.
Oh yeah.
I want her to like do a recreation of these lines.
Oh, pause.
But I can just imagine that voice. What is her name? Oh, not Merida.
Well, it's Moira Rose is
Moira Rose. Thank you, Moira Rose being like,
okay. Let's see if I can do it. Because I watched
the pancreas.
It's not dropsy of like she's always so
pancreas.
Yes,
you got to put more
of the
pancreas. It's got to be
it's
long
a clear pregnancy. That's the best I got.
So
but she would be like, now
but I just adore how supportive Finchie is of his wife. The entire time that she talks, he is nodding his head, silently agreeing with everything that she is saying before putting his arm around his wife protectively. They are honestly couple goals. And I wonder whether he has picked up on the fact that his wife has been the runner-up to her sister her whole life. And this is finally her time to shine. And he wants her to bask in all of that glory, not because he cares for the titles or the household himself, only that he wants his wife to be happy and to finally receive her flowers.
Very much agreed. For once, she is ahead of Prudence.
Yeah, like I know that as the girls make out, Penelope is not even in the running, but I think we underestimate the fact that, yes, Philippa does join in on picking on Penelope, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't also get the very harsh side of, like, I think,
Yeah, of Prudence.
yeah, like, yes, Portia acknowledges Philippa a lot more than she does Penelope, but it doesn't mean that she necessarily receives the level of love, care, of affection that she deserves either. It's just that she received more than Penelope, but 20% is still 20%, as opposed to Penelope's 5%.
Well, and I honestly think that Prudence was Portia's favorite because she was very similar to Portia in her witty sarcasm and she viewed Prudence's
Cruelty.
wanting to win
Yeah.
and her cruelty in putting down people as a strength, right?
Yeah.
Because Portia wanted to raise strong daughters. And I think with Philippa, I think she knew whenever Philippa went out on the market, she wouldn't have to do much work for her because Philippa was beautiful. And I think she figured that would come easy. Her issue with Philippa was going to be find somebody that wouldn't mind that she was vapid. I believe that Portia just viewed her as vapid, but she also put down Penelope for being intelligent until it benefited her. So I think she viewed Prudence's cruelty almost as a cleverness, as a wittiness, to the point where she diminished the qualities of her younger daughters. But I do think she figured Philippa would be easier, and that's why she was so into Prudence and pushing Prudence, because we know that's Prudence's third year that year. And she wanted Prudence to go first, because I almost feel too, like having 3 daughters and knowing what we know about Pride and Prejudice, she probably didn't necessarily want them all out on the marriage mart at the same time.
Yeah.
But she threw Penelope out there a year early because she wasn't going to do this every year business, and she probably figured Prudence wasn't going to get married and I can't not allow my other daughters a chance, type of thing. You know what I mean? Because they're always fighting him misusing the money.
Yeah.
So she needed one of them to marry well.
Yes.
That was her future plans, because she did not expect Lord Featherington to manage the estate well to keep them for as long as they would need to be kept.
She knew that he was a gambler and a philanderer, but just not to the extent. She didn't think that he would actually put their livelihood at risk because of it, just kind of put their name at risk. But yeah, I think, like, when you have a kid, you give that kid your 100%. And then every kid that you subsequently have after that somehow also receives 100%. You just find it within yourself. It's not split. It's not like, okay, I now have 2 children, so it's got to go 50-50. You just find another 100%. Whereas I think when Prudence was born, she's like, well, I'll give her 70% and leave some for the rest of the children when they're born. And then instead of the next kid also receiving 70%, Philippa then receives 20%. And then Penelope is born and she receives 10%. And she's like, well, I gave my 100%. What more do you want from me? You could have even said, oh, at least if they get 33, 33, 33, it's even. But no, like, Portia didn't have enough of herself to give out enough love adequately to her children. And I think that part of what heals Portia is seeing how, because she always saw Penelope as meek and like she doesn't stand up for herself, and like, yeah, she'll give the little barb here or there, but she just wants to be basically unseen. She just wants a head in a book and she just let life kind of pass her by. Whereas when she realizes that Penelope is actively seeking and going after what she wants in life, and then she finds out about the Lady Whistledown, and even though it does hurt her to find it, she realizes, I raised a fighter. I thought that she was meek and going to let life happen to her, but I didn't. She is strong. She is intelligent. She is just as cunning and conniving as actually I am. I thought that I had failed in my motherly duties and to raise a girl that could survive anything, but actually she is the ultimate survivor of all of us. And I think that it's not...
honestly, I don't know. She is not acknowledged. She's acknowledged Penelope's admiration for Colin Bridgerton, but she has not acknowledged her love for him yet.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like she sees her daughter as conniving like she is, because it's what she would do if she wanted to align with the Bridgertons and Colin Bridgerton was the person she wanted to do it with. She would thwart this marriage, threw her own family member under the bus, and not realizing, like, I don't think Portia would ever think for a moment that she was trying to protect Colin from Marina.
I don't think that Portia ever has the analytical skills to think back. Like, you know, when sometimes things happen and then you've got to think back through, and I know you do, I'm just musing it out what I'm thinking. You know, you think back and you think, oh, okay, I can actually see the signs because that happened there and that happened there and that happened there over all these years. And that actually makes sense. I don't think that Portia has the mindset to think back and think, oh, that's right. This is what Lady Bristledown wrote here, and this is what she wrote here, and this is how she's been writing about Colin Bridgerton all of these years. Oh, and she was the one that protected Colin from Marina. Oh, it all makes sense now. She doesn't really
No.
have. She works in
She's too
she works in the here
she's
and
too
now.
self-serving. She sees all the things that Penelope said about the family
Yes.
and all of the work she believes she did to claw the family back into society
Yeah.
after all of these scandals. And she can't even believe that Penelope wrote about herself what she wrote about herself. But if she put two and two together and she went back and did all that pattern recognition and understood that the whole time she was trying to protect the Bridgertons, Portia would have lit Bridgerton house on fire.
But like thinking back to book Penelope and the fact that when she changed her outfits, Lady Whistledown commented that it was
Mm-hmm.
clear that she was no longer being dressed by Miss Featherington or Mrs. Featherington, and in a very much a good way. And the fact that Penelope hid those newspapers from her mother to spare her feelings. Book
Yeah.
Penelope was a lot softer and kinder. She still had the same issues with her mum, but she contained a lot of them and people knew. But she'd even think to herself, like, even in my own thoughts, I need to be kinder to my mum. Like, she loves me and she's doing the best that she can, sort of thing. But she does not make it easy, especially around that pregnancy announcement. The watercolors.
Yeah. That was a not pregnant wedding. Let's not put the
Sorry,
cart before the
sorry,
horse there.
wedding. Yeah. All right, so Prudence is somewhat ignoring her sister until her sister's words finally sink in, which is when she then says, "Is it?" before blatantly grabbing her boobs in public with wide eyes. I love that Finchy immediately averts his eyes from it, knowing that it was inappropriate. He's just the ultimate husband. He's like, ma'am, you were not supposed to be doing that. Please do not draw attention to them. My eyes are for my wife only.
Much like Colin in the brothel.
Yes, yeah.
After kissing Penelope, he only had eyes for his.
I must say, though, that I absolutely love both attire tonight. Philippa's dress looks to be an underskirt of a vibrant pink overlaid with a purple feather-looking layer, which is so whimsical and seems to match her vibrant but kind of delicate disposition, while Prudence is probably wearing my favorite dress of hers of the season, which is an orange into a pinky purple hue with beautiful beadwork and a delicate puffed tulle sleeve. The look of the dress reminds me, and probably other Swifties out there, of a Taylor Swift Eras tour, the clamshells that feels like the entire stage. And the colors match it so perfectly, but they also suit Prudence's complexion so well and seems to soften her appearance for a change. Usually she is dressed so similarly to her mother, which also makes her appear quite tough, but this outfit really brings out her softer features, foreshadowing of how motherhood and growth in her marriage is going to soften her and bring out a whole new side of her. A
Yeah,
whole new world.
I think that, Dankworth admiring her the way he does, loving her the way he does, is truly bringing her out of her own masculine.
Mhm.
I got the hiccups. I apologize. And she is softening.
Yeah.
And she is being more feminine. A little brazen and garish here, feminine, but still feminine.
She's like, I'm a girl?
Oh my goodness. Who'd have thunk?
I think she spent her whole life trying to emulate her mother. And now that she's in a marriage, which is so different to that of her mother and father's, that she is learning how to be a partner and how to be someone outside of being her mother's daughter.
Yes. And I think it's so important to note here because we really do focus on all these other pairings. And I mean, we're even more interested in Lord Anderson's first relationship and how that'll play into his future relationship with Violet, that we forget that these Featherington sisters, if their mother had had any say, they would have been thrown at literally, Prudence has been thrown at just about everybody,
including her cousin.
Including her cousin. Like, her mother is so desperate for comfort in her old age and security that she has not taken into consideration that her daughters would have to live with the outcomes of her choices for the rest of their lives. And I think that this is a almost a
I
beautiful example
I
of.
actually think it's why she chose Mr. Dankworth. He is so gentle and adoring of his wife, and she wanted more for her daughters than what she had for herself. As in the abuse
I
that
think
she
she
suffered
screwed
at the
up.
hand, the abuse
Yeah.
that she suffered at the hand of Archibald, not
I
financially.
think she screwed up Prudence's chances. I don't think Portia had no hand in Philippa and Finch finding each other.
No, no, none.
She did have a hand with Dankworth and Prudence, but
Well, actually, no. I think she
I think
actually
she was desperate to cover her own mistake of entrapping Jack and that potentially ruining Prudence, but she lucked out and her daughter got the man that is best for her and that she needed.
I
All
think
of her
she
daughters
I
did. They
think
got
she
the exact man they needed.
I think that she did have a hand in Finchie and Philippa ending up together because in season one, when
Oh,
she
she kept
realizes the
fighting for
dowry,
it.
yeah, she kept fighting for her daughter. But mummy, but mama, I love him, and she was
Mm-hmm.
beside herself. And that was when you see Mama Featherington's claws come out. And like literally what she did, accosting her husband and questioning his judgment in public was
But
an
that she's desperate
absolute
to marry
no-no.
off 3 daughters that are all out on the marriage mart now. I don't think that was, yes, she loves her daughters
Perfectly
and
good suitor.
but her goal was a perfectly good suitor and to get these daughters married off because that is her sole job as a mother now.
Yeah, but like in season two, like she's very much pushing and making sure that Jack sorts out the dowry so that her daughter can be married off to him. So, like, even though she didn't choose
Then
him,
I think it matters, but it's also a Featherington name thing,
I
like
know, but she
our
didn't.
word is as good as our bond kind of thing.
Don't lump us in with Boltons.
Well,
Boltons.
it's because Lord Featherington ruined their name, so she's
Yeah.
trying to make good.
What is it, the Lannis? Hey there. Yeah, I know. I very much think that she wanted that match for her daughter. That she knew that her daughter cared for him and that she'd be happy. She wouldn't live advantageously, but she'd be happy.
Yeah. And I think the part that shows where she does care about Philippa's happiness is all the lying she does to keep the finches on
Yes.
the fishing pole. We'll say, she cast out the line and she drew in a finch and she's trying to keep them on the line by saying, oh, the money's there. We just need an heir to show up so that we can access our funds. Like, keeping them baited and keeping them, allowing Mr. Finch to remain betrothed to the woman he loved, right? Because the parents are like, is there money really? Like, what are we waiting around for? This needs to
Hmm.
happen, like. I think they would have pulled the plug a long time ago, but she kept them strong.
Yeah. I'm actually a little bit surprised that Portia did choose Denki to marry Prudence because I think she was the one that set up that marriage, she said. It
Yeah.
surprised me a little
Well,
bit.
she said she secured both husbands for them.
Yeah. She's
Well,
egotistical, so it's hard to take what she says as
it's hard to know
law.
what's truth.
Yes, because she's egotistical and will claim that she even set up. She would say, I secured matches for authors now. Because in her mind, her action and the way that she raised her daughters and the people that they were was all due to her. And therefore, she orchestrated the whole thing. She's that egotistical that that's how her mind works. Yeah, so I think at this point, it's pretty much confirmed that both sisters are pregnant, and there is now a rat race to the finale. Little did they know that give it another day, and it'll be 3 sisters pregnant.
Literally.
Literally. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that millions of women around the world fell pregnant watching that carriage scene, to be fair.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the scene finally cuts back to Eloise talking to Cressida, and I'm a little bit confused by the timeline of this episode, as what feels as this entire scene feels like it took place an entire lifetime ago, like when they started talking to now. Like Violet had agreed with Fran to leave the party, but only once they had found their siblings, which means that they should have well and truly left the party before this conversation could even transpire, if you get what I mean. So, like in our previous episode, we were talking about how Francesca said she wanted to leave, and Violet said,
and mind you, Benedict's already gone.
Yes.
So they would have had to find
no one
Eloise,
else.
and they would have had to take her home.
Yes.
And she was there when Colin. So
yes,
ultimately, and I think that's just a continuity error because Violet would have known what was going on. When
Yeah.
she would have seen Colin come in and step on that dance floor, she knew her son was getting his girl.
Mhm.
So they having her be surprised and having Eloise be there, that's why I think something happened between filming and editing of part one
I
and
think
then
that
the editing of part two.
I think for the drama, they've put, or, the timeline or whatever of it, they have originally filmed that in timeline and then decided, oh, actually, we want to focus on this part first. So we're going to put that afterwards, when actually, in reality, that conversation should have taken place before Francesca and, well, I mean, Eloise should have been gone before any of that took place.
Yes, Eloise should have not been there.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Eloise could not be at that
Well,
ball
because they filmed
without an
it.
escort.
Because they filmed it differently, so that originally Eloise was going to confront Colin on the dance floor as Lord Dibling and Penelope had that conversation up in the
Mm-hmm.
stairs of, but do you wish it to be rah rah rah? At that same time, Colin was meant to be confronted by Eloise, whereas they changed that because they wanted her to be confronted at the house with that news and find out basically as the rest of her family does. But
I understand that.
because they had already filmed those scenes, they would have had to have filmed the entire
What I'm saying though is that
ball again.
in editing, because they left Eloise at the ball,
Yes.
they should have never had the line, "Let us find your sibling," because Eloise could
Yeah.
not be at the ball without an escort.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
No.
Pardon me. She could not be at the ball without an escort. And if they could not find Benedict,
And because they didn't know that Colin was there either.
and she knew Colin wasn't there. She was hoping he would show up, but at that time he hadn't. The only out they have is if they found Eloise first, or they noticed they couldn't find Benedict and they start thinking, oh, Benedict and Eloise bolted again, like at the opera. But we should have had something saying that.
Yes.
Because there's no way. I mean, honestly, how did Eloise get home? She had no way of getting home that wouldn't have ruined her reputation.
Magic happened. And I mean, if Colin can go to Hogwarts to learn how to operate and to separate, as well as Anthony and Kate, why not the whole family be witches and wizards?
Went into another room. She went into another room and used the
flu network.
The flu network, yeah.
All right.
Because she wouldn't have been able to exit alone. Penelope gets away with it because she's always leaving a ball in a huff. But Eloise is always with her family. So if Eloise was seen alone at all,
shame on you. Shame on your family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So Eloise is explaining to Cressida, and can you imagine the spare time there would be if we did not always have to think about marriage? Interesting that she says we in that statement. She continues, the time we would have to read and exchange ideas or do anything that isn't entirely for the purpose of ensnaring a husband. Interesting that Eloise doesn't even consider love that the only way to get a husband is by ensnaring him.
Well, Eloise doesn't.
She's only ever known love.
She's pragmatic. She's not a romantic. And every single Bridgerton, every single season, when it's time for them to go out there and look for something, they all say, it's rare, a love match. What you and father had is rare. Yeah. I'm not going to find that. I need to find what's going to work for me. Every Bridgerton kid thinks they're just going to find what they can find, except for Daphne. Daphne wants the fairy tale.
Yeah.
But every
I'm a princess.
Other one, I'm a princess. Every other sibling does not believe they're going to find a love match, and they argue with their mother over it, and then bam, they find a love match.
Yeah.
So, but Eloise does not think she's going to find a love match, and her using of the word we is we collective of women.
Yes. But I just found it interesting that that love wasn't even the way that she thinks that a love match happens, even though she has now watched her mother, well, essentially her mother, her sister, her brother. She now is surrounded by nothing but love matches. Because keep in mind, she doesn't really mix too much with the rest of the ton. And so she wouldn't see the intimate details outside of Portia and Archibald. That's the only non-love match that she's been exposed to, really. So it just kind of surprised me that and I wonder whether this is just a little bit of bitterness on the behalf of how things ended with Theo.
That's a possibility.
Because keep in mind that there should have been these Theo episodes mixed in here, but we don't know, not episodes, but in one of the deleted scenes, as we've talked about before, she does go and visit Theo to kind of get closure and kind of, I think, a little bit realize what her place is in society, and also kind of get the closure to know that she didn't do dirty by him, because just after they had their falling out, he ended up meeting his wife who it is a love match and he's hopelessly in love. And I think his wife might be pregnant. I can't recall exactly, but he's very happily married. If we knew where those scenes took place within the season, it would kind of give us a little bit more information as to maybe her thought patterns behind some of what she is saying. But Cressida states that is interesting, to which Eloise thinks that she is talking to her when in
She gets giddy.
when in fact Cressida has been ignoring Eloise's rant, and it is very much a rant, and instead was watching Colin approach Penelope and Lord Dibbling on the dance floor. Cressida may not be the smartest woman in the room, but she is certainly astute and certainly knows how to play the game, because the second that she sees Lord Dibbling leave Penelope's side, she dismisses Eloise and starts walking towards him because before Eloise can even get a stunned word out. Eloise is literally leaning towards Cressida, mouth agape at the whole situation. Sorry, I have a really sore throat from painting. I've been getting asthma, so my throat's like really agitated and like having to clear it when I pause and whatnot. So sometimes when I read longer, it hurts.
Clumped over Eloise.
I didn't bring any water in here today, and my coffee is kaput.
I always podcast.
I should have, but I came in here without grabbing the, yeah, we are sanding and repainting our house at the moment, so my ass playing up a wee bit. But yeah, no, I do feel bad for Eloise in this moment in the way that she is left feeling like the outsider yet again, that she is the only person in the whole ton that isn't obsessed with finding a husband, that isn't obsessed with playing the game, that isn't obsessed with being fake. She is like, for better or worse, she is Eloise, always, 100%.
Yeah, and she just, because Penelope is looking for a husband at all, she is believing she is nothing better than the other debutantes, like, vapid and oh my gosh, why are you doing that? I thought I know.
Yeah.
So now she really feels like the lone wolf of the debutante world.
My camera had dust.
So
and
we're skipping the dance part, right? Because we talked about Cressida and Dibbling during the pollen ep. So are we going to the...
Dibbling has just essentially ended his courtship with Penelope when Portia arrives on the scene to kick Penelope some more by accusatorily asking Penelope, "Where is he going? What have you done?
What have you done?"
Whilst looking supremely pissed at her daughter.
Yeah, like Portia's probably worst moment of all the moments to me. Like, how do you openly... I mean, that's public. That's not being dressed down in your own drawing room. That's public.
What have you done? As if like, I expect you to F this up. Like I already had such
couldn't
low
even
opinion.
believe it was him. Yeah.
I had such low opinion of your, not probabilities, of your, no, of your prospects. I had such low expectations of your prospect that this is not a surprise to me. Like, I knew you'd somehow find a way to stuff this up. I knew he couldn't be serious about you. Who would be?
Well, and she also, I think what we're a piece we're missing here too. Let's give Portia a little bit benefit of the doubt, right? When she told Penelope that she had agreed that he could propose to her, Penelope was a little bit poo-pooing on it because she was wanting love.
And
so I think
that.
So I think that Portia maybe isn't coming at this from I knew you'd screw this up in terms of, I never thought your prospects were good enough for you to get a man like this. But
she thinks that maybe Penelope turned him down because she wanted a love match.
I think like she sabotaged it. I think she thinks she sabotaged it because she decided she wanted love over security.
Yeah.
And to Portia, that is the ultimate in stupidity.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that side of it. But like from Penelope's side
I'm just trying to give Portia a
modicum of...
trying to give her something. I'm trying to throw her a bone here. Like, she does end up being
just a
pretty
chicken
supportive
bone
in the end.
Just a chicken bone.
Just enough for her to choke on it.
Maybe even a little salmon bone. Just enough to annoy you.
Fish bone. Yeah. Right there, right stuck.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me as a kid. Ooh. You have to eat bread. You have to just eat dry bread and get it moist
like
enough.
It's like that popcorn kernel that got stuck in my throat for like 18 hours, agitating me. That's I'll name it Portia.
That popcorn kernel is Portia.
Yeah.
What is the most annoying thing ever?
Yeah, that thing that just irritates, sits there and irritates. Okay.
But and this is where we do see Penelope stand up for herself
Yes.
for the first time to her mother, which is great.
That is your
And
question.
then, of course,
Not, am I well? Then finishes the blow to Portia by asking, do I only matter to you if I've got a Lord's engagement ring on my finger?
yeah, that's the only way she could surpass Prudence.
Yes. And I think that
Honestly, until she was found out to be Whistledown and Portia understood how much money she had.
And
the
power
money
and
changed
influence. It wasn't the money. It doesn't, I mean, the money helped, but it was the power and influence. I think that
it was the money because she didn't want Penelope giving up her money to pay Cressida. She was all like, Mr. Bridgerton, are you going to take care of this?
And I think that this is one of the first times that one of her daughters has actively cut her down to size in a way that actually registered with her, because a lot of the time she can dismiss. I mean, she is a narcissist. She's very good at dismissing any concerns or any complaints that people throw at her. But this one is so on the nose that I think even she can't deny it.
Yeah.
At that moment, though, Prudence, thrilled at the thought of being back in Mummy's number one At that moment, though, Prudence, thrilled at being back as Mummy's number one favorite, turns up bragging about her pregnancy. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, and she's not reading the room. She's not understanding that there's a conflict afoot.
Why would you ever read the room when you think that you're the most important thing in person and have the most important use of the room?
Correct. But what it gets me is that even when Penelope realizes and Penelope leaves, like Prudence was seriously that kid that, when you got mad at your sibling as a little kid and you weren't going to talk to them and they would talk and be like, wind. Like that was Prudence. Like Penelope did not exist. And she did not even comprehend why Portia, because Portia had a moment of, do I go after her when Penelope left? And Prudence does not compute. She's like, Mother, aren't you excited? Why are you hesitating?
Hey, Mum,
like,
look
what?
at this. Look at me roll over and a little tumble on the floor. Hey, Mum, look at me jump from this high.
Mommy, look at me, look at me.
That Stewie episode from
Stewie. From Family Guy.
From Family Guy. Lois.
How many more references can we get into Bridgerton?
I mean,
because now we're up to Family Guy.
I know. So at that moment, Penelope doesn't even bother to engage with her mother anymore, as she knows her mother's only interest is in the fame and fortune her daughters can bring to her. And with Prudence now claiming pregnancy, she doesn't even care to compete with that. She's spent her entire life emotionally regulating herself, and she's prepared to do it again on her own, just as she always has, and walks off to go and fetch her carriage home. Awkwardly enough, though, it would have been soon enough that Lord Dibling would have been still waiting for his own carriage to arrive. That would have been one awkward doorstep to wait on. Don't mind me. And then Lord Basilio is just outside. My horse.
Still crying about his horse.
Oh, this night cannot get any worse.
Well, and the thing is, in the time it took her to walk to the end of that walkway, and mind you, she waved her hand halfway through.
Yeah.
And she stood there and she poked her pointy nails into her eye to stop herself from crying. That carriage came up. I'm like, this is the best valet service in the ton.
Yeah.
They're pretty fast.
They got Ferraris.
That Colin showed up and all of the footmen, because all the servants know everything. So all of the footmen were like, oh, Colin shows up at the end. Get Debling's carriage.
Ready in the carriages. Shit's about to go down.
Debling's about to leave. Get his
Lady
carriage.
Whistledown, get your pens ready.
Because the servants know it all.
Pen's getting ready,
Yeah. The servants know everything. So they're like, oh, it's about to get real up in here.
I wonder if the servants are like, grab the popcorn bowls, find a seat.
They're when they get
their lives
when they get Penelope's carriage, they're like, ooh, Penelope came out by herself. Better make sure there's 2 witnesses. I have a feeling somebody's chasing down this carriage tonight.
We're gonna be warming up the hot chocolates for Penelope tonight as she cries into another carriage.
Well, and that's the thing about the crying too, that as we've watched this whole this whole season, like we're watching her armor rust in this moment because
Yeah.
at the end of season 2, she cries forever. Season 1, when she leaves the Danbury ball, she's crying until Colin shows up. And then on the way home from the moon ball, she is still crying in the carriage. But when this carriage is coming, she stamps it up. She's like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not crying again. I'm
I'm a
done
strong,
crying.
independent whistle down, and I will write out my feelings.
I wonder what her whistle down would have been like that night.
Oh, that would be a really fun. That would be a really fun one to write.
Yes, it would.
So Portia is actually more affected by Penelope's words than what Pen would likely realize, as Prudence snaps at her mum, "Hello, are you not excited?" Which causes Portia to turn back to her daughter, kind of in a haze, clearly torn as to the huge amount of information to process at once. This daughter is no longer getting like the most advantageous marriage, but this daughter might be pregnant. That's going to solve all my problems. I thought that was going to solve my problems. Who's going to solve my problems for me? On one hand, like her daughter may be pregnant, which I already.
But the thing is this is the only daughter. This is the only person pregnant that wants her mother to be excited. Philippa did
Yeah.
not care if Portia was excited because her and Finch were. They have
Because
each
she
other.
was making her family. That was her goal. Was yes, they were in the air to be the race. Like, sorry, they were in the race to bear the heir, but at the same time, they wanted to like share their love. They wanted to make a child out of their
Yes.
love, which is the end goal was
They
love.
yes, they wanted to make a hold on.
What did I say inappropriately?
This is gonna come out sounding insensitive. I don't know how to say it any other way. But considering Philippa didn't know anything, okay, and we know that they were probably trying to start a family, and Finch isn't telling her how you make a family, she's probably having those moments of like, we've been together for 2 years and I've not become with child. Like she's starting to think she can't have
Am I kissing wrong? Why am I not having a baby?
she's probably like, I want to ask my mother, but that's my mother. Like she's having a whole.
And you could not talk to your husband about sexual matters back then. You had to get all of your information from your mother, your siblings, or your staff.
And they're poor. So she didn't have a lady's maid when she married him. So there was no lady's maid to go with her. Nobody that she had no one. And now I'm going to cry. But I was just laughing about it because for 2 years, she probably thought she was infertile and she couldn't give Mr. Finch a son, a daughter, whatever. She couldn't give him children. Can you imagine? Oh, poor Philippa.
Simple Philippa.
Simple Philippa.
You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know to ask what you don't know.
Philippa.
Oh, my sweet.
You don't know how to ask.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
You don't know how to ask what you don't know, and you don't know who to ask because mothers didn't say anything, so daughters wouldn't know their mothers actually knew anything.
Yeah,
I mean, Philippa realized, and I bet you the way she asks inserts himself where. It comes off like shocked, but I think there might also be a little tinge of snark in it. Like, you mean you knew all this time and you could have told me? Like, how dare you?
They are hilarious, honestly. I'm going to miss them so greatly next season.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like
I need that moment.
I know.
Philippa just dressing down her mother. Like, seriously.
Do. So Finchie's also said that he's not returning, hasn't he? Okay, because I was gonna say it could just be the Dankies that are not returning because
no, Lord MacDonald was the first one that said
first one.
Like he's like he really loved the character and he's gonna miss him.
Who plays Philippa?
Harriet Kane.
Harriet, thank you. Harriet is still actively hanging out with the cast, but Bessie isn't.
Bessie's got a new show.
I know, but Harriet is still hanging out with the cast and
Harriet. I mean, they were together. I don't know if they are now, but Harriet and Luke Thompson are a thing.
But he wasn't in the photo. I've seen photos of the cast hanging out at events and taking photos together at events. There was one poster.
The SAG Awards. She went to the SAG Awards. She was part of that whole red carpet. Be careful how you. Well, we're not putting all your cards in the back.
It's only got 3. Where is the photo? It is. I don't. Was it at the SAG?
They were all at the SAG Awards hanging out.
I don't think she is dating Luke Thompson anymore because there's a guy in her photos in a dressing gown in a room with her on holidays. That's not. Oh yeah, that does look like SAG Awards. There's wait, that's Imelda. I'm sure that's Imelda Stomp. Is that could be Bessie next to Imelda? I'm trying to figure out if you go through. Let me send. I'll shot. No, but still. She's hanging out with the whole cast, but Bessie isn't. But regardless, it seems as if like maybe she's kept on better terms because it seems that Bessie kind of left on less than desirable terms. The fact that she unfollowed like half of the cast afterwards.
I mean, I don't want to engage in gossip.
No,
but
I just like what I'm meaning is I hope that they are still on good enough terms.
That is not Imelda Staunton.
No. I just hope that they are still on good enough terms that there is a possibility of them returning in the future is what I mean.
I would love it. And then, I mean, even if we get, a season 8, like, because the Featheringtons and the Bridgerton are now family. And I think if there was some sort of family function, I think we would see that Penelope and Philippa at least would grow their relationship. Because we see how much Philippa admires Penelope by the end of season 3. So I think we would see some Philippa and Finchy at a family.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we do get them, even if it's just cameos in the future. Like how much we have missed having Daphne and Simon, and I think the internet is really, really pushing for Alfie from Emily in Paris. I don't remember the actor's name, sorry, but Alfie from Emily in Paris, and I believe that he's actually been filming some sort of TV series with Daphne at the moment. I don't know what they're filming together, but I have seen things of them.
Is that who that dude is? I just saw her in a scene, something on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
And she's got a little bit. I mean, I don't want to name British accents, but it's not posh. It's not a posh British accent.
I think that her accent always a bit off. And Alfie is Lucien Lucian.
Okay. Excuse me again.
Not Snatch.
Fair.
They're filming Snatch, which is a new TV series.
That's not on.
Also got Rupert Grint in it.
Rupert. Hey. We officially have Bridgerton and Potter mixing before season 4. Maybe that'll come out before season.
Please, for the love of God, I need to in my life. Put him in Bridgerton. I would love it.
Oh, put him in. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I would have absolutely sent him as and especially to get more redheads into the family. I would have sent him as marrying Philippa. I would have sent him as being
that's a little too much ginger. 2 gingers together.
Yeah, make a ginger household.
He would have made a really good Jack.
Could have done, yeah, actually. Okay, so yeah, on the one hand, like Portia, her daughter may be pregnant, which would solve many of her issues. I mean, her other daughter's pregnant, but double the pregnancy, less likely to lose one of the babies, more likely to end up with
She doesn't
an heir.
believe that Philippa has enough brain cells to raise a child to adulthood to become a lord.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think she'd probably have her daughter move in with her specifically so she could basically take over the raising of that child.
Yes.
But I think on the other hand, in this moment, she realizes that she has taken some serious missteps where emotions are involved. Sorry, where Penelope is involved. It actually shows some level of growth that Penelope's words even registered with her, given how she's acted in the past. No notes.
I agree with you.
I was like, no notes.
No notes.
No notes. All right.
No notes. It is.
Yeah. So the scene then cuts over to Bridgerton House, where we see a very happy Francesca, her little happy feet, but the happy fingers, playing the piano when Violet enters the room to exclaim her daughter's name, clearly confused as to why she is playing the piano at that time of night.
Why is she playing the piano when she told her she was sick at the ball? Like, I thought you'd be going to bed. Like, why are you doing this?
Because I can't remember at this point, and I'd have to go back and look, but is Violet not in her nightgown by this point?
No, because she's wearing a dress at the beginning of the next episode.
No, I know, but
I'll look it up. I'll do cap that. You talk. I'll cap
that. Francesca then explains that Lord Kilmartin had the music that they had heard the other day arranged exactly as she had arranged it. And like that girl cannot wipe the smile off of her face. And Violet clearly tries to be happy for her, but it just doesn't quite land, in my opinion. Like, even though John has now, like, he's done the hard yards, he's done a grand gesture, like, this is the kind of romantic gesture that she would usually be pleased about, but she
And
just doesn't look happy.
I think she's pleased that Francesca is happy and that John makes her happy, but I think
No, you're right. She's wearing regular clothes.
she's worried because he brought her reworked music. Like, he, instead of trying to pull her out of her shell, he's
Allowing her to introvert further into it.
yeah, it's like Violet sees her as laying on the ground and he's drawing the chalk line around her. Like, here's the boundary. I'm fine with you just dying like this. You can stay this forever. And for Violet, that's just not love. Like, love, people grow for the person that they love. And so, you know, not to put it in a term of like death, but that's just, she's really worried that he's not doing enough to,
I think she just doesn't like him, to be honest. I think there's something about him or the way that they express their love together that she just does not vibe with, because it's not, I mean, Eloise has got to have gotten her personality from somewhere. And if people don't see things the way that Eloise does, it's wrong. And I think Violet can be a little bit that way as well when it comes to love. Love has to look only like the way that she sees it to be and what she expects from love. And I think she, even to the point of thinking it should look exactly like the way that it did for her and Edmund. And if you're not a stuttering like fool over the person, then clearly it's not it, you know?
Oh yeah, she's very much set in her ways about love, just like the queen is. I think that the queen's real most true obstacle for not being able to get people together is that she's following the formula of her own love story.
Yeah.
And I think that's Violet's problem too. I think that's why Danbury is successful, because Danbury did not have a template of true love that resulted in marriage. So I think she comes from the, I don't want these people that I love to end up in a marriage like I had, because her marriage was crap. But the other two had love matches. They just got there in different ways. So both of them are following their formula.
Yeah. So going from like this conversation of, well, this kind of, obviously the writers are trying to set up here that this is going to be the love match, and like that this is his grand gesture and he's made his move, and that's going to be, you know, them set. The scene then jumps straight into Lady Tilly in bed with Benedict, whilst Lady Whistledown voices over saying that the body knows what it needs most. Although there is some passion in their moment, it is nothing compared to the passion that we see with the main love interest. And in previous seasons, I actually think that even like the passion between Anthony and Sienna, in truth, was some of the most like unhinged, which is why I think some people prefer Sienna, because they view unbridled passion and a little bit of toxicity as love, because it's what they've experienced and it's not. And I was going to say, I'm not sure whether they told Lukey T to hold back a little bit of that passion so that we can see the transformation of how he acts sexually in bed with Sophie, as opposed to those that is just a sexual conquest.
Well, I think all of his sexual conquests have been just that.
I don't see it. I don't
the
see
pursuit of passion, the pursuit of release, the pursuit of experience. I think for Benedict, it's about experience, and I think
I see her as a mentor rather than a conquest.
Who, Tilly?
Yeah.
I see her as a mentor also, but Benedict is trying to be her equal.
Yeah.
Not like, I think he kind of goes into it like he's going to be more experienced than she is. He almost has that arrogance to me. Like I think because that's why he says it the way he does when he walks into the room.
She controls.
When he brings her,
she controls it every single time.
I know, when he walks in with the flowers, like he's all haughty and like, you know, yeah. I'm actually Benedict Bridgerton, the number two. I am in charge when Anthony's gone, is going to actually court a woman of the ton. And he walks into her dressing down her solicitor, and he is just in shock at how poised she is and how confident she is. Powerful. And she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm coming to court you. Like, he doesn't even know how that's going to go off, because
he's like, Am I allowed to court you, or do you court me? Because the
Yeah,
roles are a little bit reversed.
he is out of his depth. He went in there with all the confidence in the world, and she just deflated
Well,
that
I
balloon
mean, look at
because
every interaction they've had at the balloon. At the balloon, it was her undressing him, I mean, like giving him an undressing
mhm,
metaphorically in the way that she spoke to him. You know,
verbal dressing
yes, a
down.
verbal yeah. Like I am a woman, but don't mistake that for being any sign of weakness because it is not. Woman is power, and then it goes from that to at the ballet where again she puts him in his place. Just briefly met. She is very much playing the coy not the coy debutante, the coy, like the suitor of dismissing a lady's claims to them having any sort of ties together. And then again, when he comes to her room in the scenario, it would usually be going into a room together to talk and have someone chaperone them or whatever. And she's like, F that, you're here to service. Like she's very much the male and the mentor in the scenario where she has taken on that masculine role. And I think that she does that to control everything so that her feelings don't get involved because she's unwilling to ever be at the, like her husband was the one that led and she will not allow another man to lead because that is putting someone else in her husband's shoes. Kind of metaphorically the way that John and Michael in Francesca's book, he was unwilling to
Right.
that way.
I thought
Care to share any of those
I
feelings?
had no.
Oh,
My mind
sorry.
was wandering.
Sorry.
My mind was wandering. No, don't apologize. I mean, you were doing the hard yards there. My
Um,
mind just tangented. I couldn't tangent with my mouth because it had nothing to do with what we were talking about. So I just
yeah.
tangented with my brain.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I do very much think that Lady Tilly is taking on that masculine role because she doesn't I think she did truly, truly love her husband and these men are just there to kind of service her garden as per the metaphor. And that's all she will ever allow to begin with because she loved her husband and she's too afraid to if she lets someone else in. Kind of how I was talking about love in regards to children. I think she doesn't realize that learn to love someone else. And I mean Violet's going to learn this lesson in the next as well. It does not take away from the 100% that gave to your first husband. It's that you find a new 100 and it's going to look different. It might be written in a different language, but it's still a love language.
Oh, yeah. I think that much like when Benedict says that, love is not finite. If you love somebody, there's always some piece of love or some form of love for that person, even if they break you, there's a part of your heart that is going to hold them close. Maybe it's just the them they were in the beginning. Maybe it's just the them they were on a specific day. So
And I think
human beings
you can
can
love
move.
someone for the growth that they get, not for them
Yeah.
personally.
And you can love two people at the same time. There's love is not just an emotion. Love is choice. Love is action.
Mhm.
Love is like, and I think that Benedict's getting there. Benedict's starting to understand what love means to him, where he has not been ready to analyze or look at that in the past. And I think that's what his growth was. Like, yes, his growth appeared to be all sexual and open. But I think honestly, what it was expanding his ability to love and what love would look like because he had to be prepared to meet the love of his life, who is not a society girl, who
Mhm.
comes with baggage, who comes with challenges
It's
that
it's
he's.
instead of learning to love in the shadows, it's learning to embrace the shadow.
Yes, it's understanding that love is just not when we're perfect.
Yeah.
And that was I think he's starting to explore that, and it will culminate in like he'll be able to love Sophie because he had this.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here. So, for today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode where we will start exploring a few side
Side quests.
tangents, side quests. So, if there are any side quests, our biggest side quest that we have got to put together, it may or may not be the first one because I haven't written notes for it yet, to be completely honest.
Me either.
I have been renovating my house, as I said, and it is taking quite the toll. And it's literally like from the time that my son goes to bed at night till the time that we crawl into bed ourselves, it has taken every ounce of my energy. And I do want to put in a lot of time and energy into Penelope's analysis. So I think we will leave that for a little bit further down the line where I can actually dedicate a bit of time and research, because I need to rewatch seasons 1 and 2 in entirety to do my analysis. So I have no idea what we're going to be covering next week. But if you have any suggestions on what you would like us to cover in our side quest that's not episode specific to look at, we may even look at outfits, background, individual
We
characters,
could do,
individual relationships.
We should put out a thing, since this is going to air next Saturday. I mean, we're going to have to come up with something next week, but we should do an Ask Us Anything kind of episode and put a poll in the group. Like, we want to do one podcast episode of like, you ask the question.
Yep. Ask me anything.
Ask us anything, and we will choose questions and discuss them.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be,
I love that. Yeah.
Season 3 related, or it can be any season really, or I mean, it can be about us, but we may not answer at all.
We reserve the right to withhold our information. I mean,
we reserve the right to veto.
I'm a pretty open book. There's not much that I mean, unless it's about other people and their privacy, that's the only time. Well, I mean, as you saw, I'm out there trying to show my credit card information. I have zero boundaries.
Right. Well, this one, I mean, I would edit that out if I ever edited this for you.
Willing to give social security. New Zealand doesn't have social security, so you can have it.
I'll make up a number.
I absolutely love that idea. We are also going to do that was what I was thinking. Patty and I have finally managed to access some of our original voice notes of us reacting to the first ever time that we watched episodes 5 to 8. Patty and I had just become friends at that point, and so we literally voice noted the whole night away to each other, because we weren't live watching it with each other. We were just both watching it. We started from the exact same, although my TV was like 3 seconds ahead or something. But so
you got pretty far ahead.
Because you went to the toilet or something.
Well, and I admitted to rewinding the Portia dressing down a couple of times.
Yeah. So
but, you ended up having to put Ezra to bed, so I got to catch up. But we were able to access it, so I can't wait to do that.
So we have voice notes to each other the entirety of watching episodes 5 through 8. So we will hopefully kind of put those into an episode as well, and then kind of do our now reactions, knowing, like, having watched it so many times, like our initial, like, I know my reaction to Benedict was like, no, what is happening? No, like, and then the Michaela was like, no, like that was some big bombshells. And now that
mine was like, Michaela.
Yes.
My head is now wrapped around that. I'm okay now.
Somebody just honked really loudly outside in the street, and my heart just about gave way. I'm pretty sure if you look closely enough, you can see it.
I almost watched Tosh have a heart attack just now.
You can literally see my chest pumping out. Okay, if you have anything in particular you would like us to cover, or any Bridgerton knowledge you would like to share, please head to our Facebook page, The Ladies Bridgerton. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please remember to click follow on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you are watching. We are now over on YouTube, so please head over there for content exclusive to YouTube.
And we're also on Patreon. Yes. So if you would like to support our podcast, support our YouTube channel, we are on Patreon at the Ladies Bridgerton, and we only have one tier at this time, but there are some extra little goodies that you get with that. You can, if you're wondering what those are, you can ask Julia.
Yes, Julia is our Patreon queen.
Yep.
Once again, Pebble.
Once again, thank you for listening to the musings of two mad women.
Yours truly, Tosh the Kiwi
and Lady Patty.